So it all started in Morocco. In Rabat in 2016, I went to Morocco to study Darija, Arabic. And when I came there, the first person I met was an atheist. And I was curious about that because I think often Morocco is portrayed as a very homogeneously Muslim country. So it was kind of funny that when the first person that I met, it was not the case. So I started to do interviews about it and to do some observations. And then 2 years later, I was in Tunisia again to study Arabic. It's a never-ending story. And in Tunisia, I also had the chance to do a small research project. And again, I thought, okay, let's compare these two contexts. How is it to be an atheist in Morocco? How is it to be an atheist in Tunisia? What are the differences? If you compare it, of course, in Morocco, you have a monarchy which is very much linked. The political legitimacy is linked to religious legitimacy. And then in Tunisia, it's always praised as a laïc state. I was curious to see if this is really the case. If, for instance, people can really eat during Ramadan. Yeah, I'm very excited to be here in Tunisia and able to meet some of my old interviewees and to hear more about what has changed since the last time I've been here. Because of course also the political regime has changed. I'm just like very curious to see how that goes.
Hi! Hey! Ça va?
Yeah, maybe I can just ask you like as a general question, like what's the situation for people who are not religious?
Yeah, the question of religion is still a huge taboo in here. Religious individuals, they still live in sort of like in the shadows. They're still not that open about it. It is not getting better and it is not looking any brighter. There's a huge confusion. So if you just walk down the street right now, ask a person about it, but what does it mean to be an atheist for you, or what does atheism mean? They're going to give you its synonym with Satanism, which I think it's, again, it is sad with all of this access to information and people still don't make the minimum effort of looking things up.
Do you think there's a relationship between atheism and that it's seen as something Western?
For a person who does not do the research, for a person who simply refuses to listen or refuses to be open about the world around them, they do believe that, yes, atheism is a Western project that's being imported to us. And again, you're going to hear stories about the Freemasons, you're going to hear stories about the Illuminati, you're going to hear stories about all of that. And yeah, so they generally believe that it is Western propaganda.
Do you feel COVID has changed anything in terms of religion? Like, did some people become more religious or less religious?
For whether be it non-religious people or queer people or any person who's considered a minority, it was quite tough, since they had to be locked down with maybe abusive family members, maybe family members who are not understanding, even if they're not necessarily abusive. So yeah, it wasn't that easy, and it took a toll on everybody's mental health, especially on people who are already at risk and who are already predisposed and already fragile. So
yeah,
even if you're irreligious and you're forced to observe the fasting process for a whole month, especially that the lockdown came exactly around the same time as the month of Ramadan, and yeah.
And you have to pretend to fast, or you have to fast basically for
Yes.
a month.
Yes. Just for safety's sake, if they drink, if they're having extra marital relationships with someone, if they're queer, if they're dating, it depends the level of how strict it is. depends on where you're coming from, depends on the social class, depends on so many factors. But social masquerading is something that we all do have in common. So it's as if you're having two different personas, two different lives. And you can find all sorts of double standards where it is okay for the brothers and the father to sort of drink, I don't know, go out with women, have girlfriends, party with their friends. But when it comes to the women in the family, it's a whole other thing, it's a whole other story. Where is this coming from, the social conservatism? It is coming from religion. And where is this social conservatism, where is this religious conservatism coming from? Now, it is something that is actually imported, unlike how they're trying to talk about the religious movement or wave being on the rise and how it's a Western import. No, this is coming from the Wahhabist movement and wave that was rampant sometimes around the 2000s. And even way before, with the rise of the Muslim Brotherhood, with the rise of of ISIS, sometimes after 2010, 2011. So that it is where it's coming from. That's the actual import. Oh yes.
Nice.
This is un collectif féministe was established to minimize or to at least prevent violence against women.
Okay.
Here it says, down with patriarchy, abat le patriarcat. And here it says, organize yourself, mobilize yourself, be strong, be united.
It's really cool.
Yeah.